and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. And this is the 24/7 hour news roundup, basically mostly going through transfer rumours and players that Everton have been linked to signing, or else Everton players currently that have been linked with moves away. Basically just a roundup of, some of the things that have been reporting in the news recently. So we'll jump straight into it, and there's a lot from the Daily Mail here, and the very first one they've done is one of the biggest story of today is that Everton reportedly have an interest in Christian Eriksen, who of course Brentford took a punt on in January after the shock collapse he had at the Euros last year with Denmark while he was still an Inter Milan player. Obviously he collapsed on the pitch, and for a while it looked like people weren't even sure how healthy he was going to be, never mind play football again. But he's clearly made a full recovery. Inter Milan weren't prepared to take a chance on him, because it's a bit of a liability. So he ended up leaving, and obviously Brentford took a chance on him in January, and he's repaid the faith. He's been superb since signing that. So I'm really pleased to be a very astute signing from Thomas Frank and the setup over there. I was particularly impressed with him when they came to Goodison and beat us 3-2 a few weeks ago. He was pulling all the strings once we went down to 10 men. But that being said, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this one. I think 31 this year, I'm pretty sure, Christian Eriksen. And obviously you've got all that I've just mentioned about, the risk of health-wise. Is he in the best mental state to be playing football for a few years? Will probably demand quite a lot of money, and I'm also unsure just how interested he'd be in a move here. Of course, obviously, it was reported that one of the biggest attractions to him going to Brentford was, of course, being able to return to London, where he'd been with Spurs before, and Spurs themselves have actually been quite heavily linked with re-signing the midfielder, which makes more sense. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this one, but there is a poll that you can still find on the Toffee Blues Twitter page. I've just voted on that now, and I'm quite surprised to find just how much of a minority that I'm in. I think just under 80% said they'd get him in if possible. So shows what I know, doesn't it? Yeah, if you have not voted on that yet and you are interested in giving your opinion, then you can head over to the Toffee Blues Twitter page and vote on that poll. Moving on note, second in the news headlines, again from the Daily Mail, from Craig Hope specifically. West Ham are still monitoring Michael Keane. Obviously, David Moyes, former Everton man, obviously has been linked to the job several times, so he's probably more than aware of our squad. And Michael Keane's a player that's been there going on for 5 years now, which is quite crazy to think. And it does seem a very West Ham signing, that one, to be fair. It's the type of centre-back that Moyes does tend to favour. And he could probably get a tune out of him. However, I am, I'm quite in support of this. I think King's the type of player we should definitely be looking to move on. Obviously, we know our centre-back options need to be strengthened, and it's definitely a position we're looking at quite a lot from things we suggest. Obviously, James Tarkowski's been a name touted a lot recently, as has Levi Colwill, coming in on loan at Huddersfield, Chelsea lad. So I definitely think we'll see quite a few centre-backs come in, and potentially quite a few, like 1 or 2 centre-backs leave, and I think Keane could definitely be one of them. This does seem to be under the impression that obviously Keane would need to be replaced before we be listening to offers for him, but I'm sure that I think the first position we bring in, first signing we make, will almost certainly be a centre back. So I'd expect to see this story moving along quite a lot in the next few weeks. Moving on to the next story, again with the Daily Mail. Everton are still monitoring the progress of Nottingham Forest winger Brennan Johnson. I'm very excited about the prospect of this signing. I think it's the exact type of signing we should be making. Young, promising, attack-minded player. I think I'd like to think he can play kind of across the whole attacking midfield role, and kind of provide that creativity that we were really lacking last season. Obviously, not much of a creative spark once Hammers and Digne was sold. and obviously Gylfi Sigurdsson had on all the stuff that happened with him. Um, Again, this is reporting suggesting that Forest will only really listen to offers if they don't get promoted, which makes perfect sense. But I'd like to think, if a big enough offer came in for him, even if they get promoted, they'd be willing to listen to it. And obviously, you'd like to think that Johnson would be more interested in the move to an established Premier League club rather than someone who's just come up. So definitely intrigued to see how that one goes. And it kind of links in really with another attack-minded player we're looking at in the Championship. This has mostly been reported by El Bobble, which seems to suggest to me that there's quite a bit of legs to this story. We've apparently had an offer rejected for Hull's attacking midfield player Keane Lewis Potter, 21 years old, had a very good season with Hull in the Championship last season. They seem to value him at around £30 million, which I can't see us paying, to be honest, because it is a bit of a risk. Because obviously you have no idea how he's going to adjust to the step up. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure how much I'd like to see us paying that much, but if we can, negotiate him down a bit towards the 15-20 mil mark, I think this is a sign that makes a lot of sense, because you think even if he doesn't completely hit the ground running once he joins us, you think, there's still quite a bit of resale value in there, and there'll be other teams in and around us that will be willing to take a punt on him in a couple of years' time if it doesn't work out with us. But yeah, it's encouraging to me that these are the sort of players we seem to be looking at more now. If the amount of news reports being suggested about this does seem to think that there's a bit more legs to this, and being linked with much more younger players, like that I mentioned with resale value, I think is definitely an encouraging sign. Just briefly as well, from the Mail, apparently there is an interest in Salomon Rondon from Real Mallorca over in Spain. I'm willing to listen to any offers for Rondon, I'll be honest. Obviously he was signed on a free, so any sort of money we get in for him, I think would be a good deal, and I think getting him off the wage bill would definitely be of interest to us, definitely. So hope there are legs to the story, and Mallorca will probably be the standard team that'll be able to match the wages that Rondon will be demanding. So yeah, I hope to see this story progress definitely in the next few weeks. Moving on to more targets for Everton, though. A source over in Portugal, Record Portugal, which apparently are quite reliable, according to several Everton news pages, seem to think that we are after João Palhinha, defensive midfielder from Sporting Lisbon, 26 years old. The Portuguese club apparently rank him around £21 million. I am very encouraged by this type of deal, to be honest. Again, I think definitely the sort of player we should be looking at, kind of that deep line playmaker sort of role, almost, sitting in front of the midfield, kind of like a Rodri type player at Man City, somebody just sits in front of the defence, just picking out passes, but doesn't really bomb it forward with the with the likes of Decore or Allen, who have kind of more of that attacking intent. I think this would be a very, very astute signing, and I really hope there's legs to this. Obviously, there's still doubts over how much money we're actually really able to spend this summer, and whether several £20 million signings are going to be possible, even if we do get a load of names at the door. So obviously that's all up in the air at the moment. But that sort of role, I definitely think we should be looking at. I think we should have been looking at in January, really, trying to find someone we can maybe bring in on loan. But obviously that didn't work out that way. So hopefully, again, this is the sort of position that the new setup with Kevin Felwell as director of football and Frank Lampard, they'll be linking up together, discussing targets and stuff, and hopefully that is treated as a priority again. Moving on, Footy Insider, which is not the most reliable of sources from history told, but just kind of suggesting the fact that Newcastle are now front runners for DCL, because obviously Arsenal have been linked to him for going on years now, but they're apparently a bit more interested in Gabriel Jesus. So it's looking more likely that Newcastle are basically in a one-horse race if DCL is going to leave this summer, that they're in. So it will be interesting to see how that progresses. I'm still on the fence about what happens with Calvert-Lewin, really. I think because I think we all kind of accepted that at least one of the big names we've got are kind of going to have to go if we're going to reinforce the squad, as I mentioned, with trying to comply with FFP. You know, we need to raise some money before we're able to spend it again and bring in new players. And I think, you know, you look at your Richarlison's, your Calvert-Lewins, and probably your Pickfords, maybe Yerry Mina, if you can find a team that are willing to risk 20 odd mil on quite an injury-prone player. But like I said, probably those three. And out of those three, I think Calvert-Lewin 100% for me would be the one I'd be trying to get rid of if it has to be one of them three, 100%. Want to keep Richarlison, and then I don't think there's much better you can do for Pickford than the money we'd be looking to spend. So I prioritise trying to keep hold of him as well. So, yeah, I think if it was me, I'd be trying to sell Calvert-Lewin this summer. You know, Newcastle look like a team you could get quite a bit of money out of. So I think we'd be looking at about 40 to 50 million. You know, England, young English striker. You know, you've got that English tax on him as well. So yeah, it's looking very likely it's going to be Newcastle if he leaves. And so we'll see how that one progresses. And then finally on the transfer rumours, speaking of Arsenal again, really, it seems to be us two looking at Czech Decore from Lens in France, young midfielder. Again, like kind of linking to the Palini thing I was saying before, type of position we're looking at, that we definitely should be looking at, you know, kind of an energetic defence-minded midfielder. But I don't know, it's a bit off for me because a lot of reports suggesting that Arsenal are very interested in him, and let's be honest, if it's between us and Arsenal, he's going to be picking Arsenal every day of the week. So not entirely sure how much credit I'd give that one. And then finally, steering away from transfers, Sebastian Quirk, 20-year-old Everton Academy midfielder, has signed for an extra year with the under-23s. Versatile midfielder, can play in several defensive positions as well, and clearly someone that, you know, in this addressing of the academy setup, you know, with Unsworth leaving, and obviously a new director ready to be appointed at the academy, which would suggest that Felwell is kind of making these decisions at the moment. Quirk is clearly someone that he is impressed by, and we have decided we wanted to keep hold of. So best of luck to him, and hopefully another year at the club he can progress, and who knows, maybe we'll start flirting with the first team next season. That we can wait and see how that one goes. You know, like I say, if we're not able to bring in many transfers, we might have to rely on you somewhat next year. Obviously, we've got Isaac Price and Reece Welch, who have been, you know, on the bench last few games. Of course, Price came on for a bit at Arsenal on the final day, so that definitely does seem to have been something that we've recognised as a club. And yeah, everyone loves a youngster, don't they? So, but yeah, I think that just about wraps up this roundup of the news today. Comment giving your thoughts about some of the players we're being linked with, some of the players we're supposedly looking to sell. Do you agree? Do you think Calvert-Lewin should be the priority for raising any money we might need to raise this summer? Let us know your thoughts. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more. There'll be plenty of these 24/7 roundups coming up over the next few days, because obviously summer's a very exciting time. No games, but you know, transfer rumours are constantly circulating. Your club's being linked with all sorts of players. So yeah, this is definitely the best place to keep up with all that. And you can find any merch as well in the description. Any of the Everton shirts that you'd like to buy, branded with players or anything of that nature, can all be found in the description. And yeah, that's all from me. We'll see you in the next one.